Hello. As you know, we sometimes bring other entrepreneurs to tell their stories and tell about their experience with entrepreneurship. Today, we have Cathrine. She's an entrepreneur, and she's going to tell us about her entrepreneurship journey. And yeah, welcome, Cathrine.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Yes, I'm the founder and CEO of Ekvi, which is a Femtech company. We just launched an app in Europe a couple of months ago for women who have endometriosis to help them record or track all their symptoms, learn about their bodies and what they mean, and then also be able to share those symptoms and find the best healthcare providers, because that can be a real struggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you come to doing entrepreneurship to starting Ekvi?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I sort of grew up in the girl boss era where, I believed that, to succeed in life, you had to, really get the work done, focusing on the grind, very masculine kind of space or energy. So I worked in corporate in a bank for a few years, following the traditional career ladder, doing all the right things. Everything looked good on paper, but I sort of didn't feel right. But I didn't know why. I was like, I'm doing everything right. What's going on? I don't know. So then I decided in 2022 to go to Valencia for 2 months. So I rented an Airbnb, told everyone back at home, don't call me, I'll call you. And I think people thought I was a little bit crazy. I was just going to go there, see what happened, free up my calendar for the first time in years. And what happened was that I got into this creative flow just within a couple of days. I was creating videos, photographies, I was drawing, I even created a font. And, had this amazing time just exploring everything. And during that time, I also got, more deeply into women's health. I've been a little bit on a journey with my own body, having some experiences in healthcare and just how little they know or, the little they can do for women when they come with hormonal issues or whatever it is. So I started researching really deeply into that. And then, this whole world is just uncovered of all of the systemic issues that we have in women's health, and I just decided that I want to be a part of creating solutions within this space and use my background from sociology and also technology to be a part of the solution. So then I actually came here later that fall. It's the same building where I was part of the Antler program in the Nordics. So there sort of Ekvi came to be during that program. Yeah.
And what has the journey been since joining Antler? And then now you said you launch a hub. And what does the hub do? Like, if let's say if I have endometriosis, how does the hub help me?
Yeah. So, of course, before we started creating the product, we talked to a lot of women about their experience with endometriosis. What were the key problems for them, and some of the really big systemic issues are related to the time of diagnosis. So today it takes 7 years on average to get a diagnosis. And the reason for that is that a lot of women go to their GP or general practitioner, which is sort of the gatekeeper for further treatments or diagnosis or to see specialists, maybe. So, and it's really difficult when you come to the doctor's appointments and the doctor asks, tell me what's going on and why are you here? And you're trying to explain all of these really horrendous symptoms. It can be, excruciating pain, very heavy bleeding, feelings of nausea and brain fog, fatigue, and all of this, it kind of changes according to your cycle. So maybe just 2 days ago was, really good days, and then the week before that, it was really, really tough. And then you're trying to summarize all of this for the doctor. So that is sort of part of the issue why, women say I don't know how to, explain to my doctor that this is not normal period pain. And the healthcare providers that we also talked to said I'm spending 90% of my time trying to understand the patient. But often it's really hard to understand if it is something that is not, quote unquote normal or that can't be treated with birth control, for example, which is the normal treatment.
That's interesting because, I did a research in Radium Hospital, gynecological oncology.
Yeah.
And I was studying, the data I got was about women who have ovarian cancer.
Yeah.
And what you're describing is very similar to what the situation with ovarian cancer, because a lot of women are dying from ovarian cancer because they are not diagnosed early. And the reason is because of what you just described, that there are different situations or conditions that could explain the symptoms that they have. And so if they really have a way of documenting those symptoms in time and having, so as an healthcare provider, you can look at the chart, the symptoms that they have, and maybe you can see a pattern. So I think that's very, very helpful solution to have. I didn't think about it when I was working with cancer, but now when you're talking about it, I was like, what? That's something that would have been very nice for people to have, because it will really help to diagnose early and also to follow the progression of treatment. So I really see the need for a solution that you are creating. Then I'm also thinking that, what's the vision with Ekvi, for example? What are you thinking? What, in a world whereby Ekvi is very successful, what will it look like?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's the dream, and there are so many facets of that vision, but of course, we're here to support the women in any way that we can. So for now, that is tracking, being able to, learn about the patterns of your body and your symptoms, then being able to get the support that you need from a healthcare provider, also finding the right healthcare provider. We also know that when you have endometriosis, you need multidisciplinary teams. So how are you going to find, the best gynecologist, the best sexologist, physiotherapist, psychologist, sexologist, all of these people who are going to work together to help you with all of the different, challenges that you have. So that is sort of one part of it, connecting women with the right healthcare providers. And then it's also contributing to more knowledge and research, of course, because unfortunately still, we have, there's no cure for endometriosis. We don't really know what kind of treatment to offer to different kinds of women, with different symptoms. It's, kind of trial and error at this point, which is really hard to go through treatments that have, side effects that are really difficult to deal with, having surgeries where, symptoms can be relieved for a period of time, but then the recurrence rate is also quite high. So, being a part of the solution for how to find, obviously a cure is the dream. But in the meanwhile, supporting women wherever they are on their journey is the goal for it.
Almost. That's it. That's very good. That was, the vision is basically to help find a cure and also help them to manage the symptoms way better than it is today. I definitely, as a healthcare professional myself, I'm looking forward to that time as well. And let's talk a bit about entrepreneurship. Like they say, startup is hard.
Yeah.
And I would like to imagine it's been easy for you.
No, it's definitely not been easy.
So tell me, what makes it hard? What has made it hard for you?
Oh, wow. So I think, as I said, I came from corporate. So this is my first startup. And of course, the learning curve was pretty steep. So I would say the first year of my journey was all about trying to sort of learn the ropes. How do you do all these things that I had to learn to talk to investors, to pitch, be on, stages, representing the company, hiring people, creating, legal, all of the things, building the product, which was more my comfort zone. And then when I came to the end of last year, I just realized wow, am I doing it all over again? The reason why I left corporate was to be able to build something that I truly believed in a way that, was going to be sustainable for me. And I felt I think if I'm going to continue like this, I'm probably going to burn out because I don't know if this is, what I believe in. Do I believe in building a company this way, based on, very much external expectations for what you're going to deliver in really rapid pace with just a few people who are already working really, really hard. So at that point, I took some time to sort of, take a step back and reevaluate a little bit how we were doing, building the company. What kind of investors did we want? Like how did we want to build a product in a more sustainable way, and also reach our audience or, the people in a more sustainable way. So I think that's been a very important exploration phase for me. And now I feel like we're more ready or more aligned with, just not how to build a product and what's that's going to entail, but also how to build a company. And that's as important for me, based on more feminine values. So, having room for creativity and playfulness and empathy, open communication, just more flow and not as much control.
Well, that's impressive. I mean, the roles that investors play in creating the pressure for startup founders, that's something that I haven't thought about very much as a startup founder myself. But I think it's something I've heard quite some entrepreneurs and startup founders talk about, and it can be a source of pressure. And it's really worth it to take a step back and think if this is something that you really want to do, so that you don't just follow the flow and then find yourself burning out. Because if you left corporate, you wanted to be a startup founder, and then you find yourself in the corporate and you have created your own corporate.
Or just even worse, because you have so much more responsibility. And, the pace is a lot higher and, it's more overwhelming. But I think, we talk about wanting diversity in the startup or VC ecosystem. And we also talk about, that we have to do something to solve the biggest challenges in our world today. The climate crisis, the health crisis, the food crisis, like we have so many things.
Waste crisis.
Oh yeah, waste crisis. And then we're still sort of, it was my experience. This is just my experience. I feel like we're trying to fit everyone into this very narrow lane of like, this is how you can build a company. This is how you can solve the problems. It has to be really quick. It has to, scale very rapidly. It has to, do this and this within X amount of time or years. And I just think like when we're rushing so much, we are not able to actually come up with, we're in scarcity mindset all the time. And we're not really able to innovate and be creative when we have a scarcity mindset and an overactive nervous system. So I feel like we have to think differently about how to build these companies and solve the problems.
Now we even talk about it, I'm also thinking that could it be that because we have this model that everything has to be done very fast and scale and all that we end up creating more problems than solution, or creating solutions that in the long run will become a problem. For example, now we're talking about this. We're talking about sustainability and the green shift, and we are just pushing out electric cars and all of that, but there is not so much conversation about what happens when those batteries are no longer useful. How are we going to recycle the material and all of that? Maybe if we would take a step back and not be as rushed with profit in mind, maybe we would find a much more sustainable solution to it. So it's really interesting to see that you kind of came to that epiphany and came to that time to reflect about what you are doing and where it's leading you to, so having the future in mind. So that's a very big lesson that I think startup founders and entrepreneurs have to take in mind, to always not just think about the moment and the hype, so to say, but think, where is this leading to in the long run?
Yeah, and I think for me, and probably because of my background in sociology, I was really I wanted to understand the systemic impact of what the problem was and what we were building. Like, where in this, big structural, mess sometimes are the biggest problems, and where can, what we're really good at have the biggest impact. And for us, that was, being able to support these women and, contributing from the bottoms up. And I feel like that is also really valuable when you're starting a company and you want it to have an impact. Like, where do you want to have that impact? And of course, also, how can you find sustainable and scalable business models within that space?
Yeah, we talked about, investors and, business being profitable. So may I ask, Ekvi today, how does Ekvi make money today?
We're still pre-revenue, but we're soon launching our subscription. So that's going to be a B2C subscription in the app. So we're working up to that. Very excited to get that started and to start sort of growing, because we haven't sort of focused a lot on growth. We've just focused on building the product up until now. So I'm very excited to see what happens when we pull on those levers.
So making something that people like, making something that is useful and works above profit, so to say.
Yeah, so right now we do co-creation with our community. So we have features within the app where people can give us feedback. It's very easy to reach out to us. So if you have endometriosis and you want to test it out, please do it and reach out to us. It's going to be me who's answering all the requests. And it's so much fun to be able to receive some feedback on features, then be able to create those things that they really need to be able to capture their experience, and then just see like how much it actually helps and supports to be able to document what's going on and to have a clear picture for yourself, and then also for your healthcare provider so they can better support you as well.
That's interesting. So if someone out there is having endometriosis or knows someone with endometriosis and they want to use your platform, how would they go about it?
They can go to the App Store if they have an iPhone, or to the Google Play Store if they have Android. And it's available in Europe for now. So if you're outside, then we'll hopefully get there soon. Yeah.
So it's Ekvi,
Ekvi, yeah.
Okay. So they search that on the App Store or App Store. That's Apple, right?
Yeah. And Google Play, yeah.
And the Google Play,
yeah.
And they'll be able to get the app. And they sign up, and then they are able to enter their symptoms on as it comes.
Yeah. So we have the sort of three key features is the daily tracker, where you track all of your symptoms. And that has been developed together with women, of course, who have endometriosis, and healthcare providers. So that you as a user will know that when you track your symptoms, you were capturing everything that your healthcare provider needs to know to be able to better diagnose and treat your condition. So that is really important. You should not have to figure that out yourself. And then there's the insights feature, where you can see an overview of all of your symptoms within a given time period. So you can get pretty detailed insights about your pain, for example, your bleeding patterns, all of the symptoms that you can track. And then we just launched Ekvipedia, which is our knowledge hub, a few weeks ago. So that is also a place where you can read stories from our community, articles related to your top tracked symptoms and, other kinds of topics. So that will just expand. And also, if you're a healthcare provider who wants to offer your sort of knowledge and expertise in Ekvipedia, then you're also very welcome to come join us as a guest author, because we really want to be able to showcase the people who have valuable knowledge to share.
Well, that's very interesting. And my other question is, how does this registered symptoms, how do they go from the end user to the healthcare provider? Is there like a link, or do they have to print it out? How does it work? So
right now it's only in the app, so you have to actually show it to your healthcare provider while you're there. But in the future, we really want to be able to create either like reports or, portal dashboard kind of thing, where you can select what kind of data you want to share with the provider, and they can either scan a QR code or something that you can confirm on your phone. But that is going to be, in the future. And we'll see like how that develops, because obviously it's a really important thing to be able to share what's going on. but there might be other things as well. Other ways that we can do it. We don't know yet. It's
I mean, it's still a work in progress. And you guys evidently have made progress because you have the app now, you have it out, and you keep adding feature, and that is the lean startup methodology. So that's good.
Yeah.
And another thing, let's go back to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
What's the quality about you? What do you think is it about you that have kept you going, that have made you to survive the grind and all this, shall I say, hardship that it takes to be an entrepreneur?
Wow. I think for me, it's mostly that I care so much. Like, I have a deep passion for the problem that we're solving, and for, all the women who are affected by this condition. It's 1 in 10 women. And every time I've thought, maybe, this is just not going to work, or like, how are we going to fix this? Like, there's always been something pulling in me that has said, it's not time yet to give up or to do something else. You're still this is still your mission right now. And we have overcome everything. So it's, I think you need to have that, passion or drive for what you're doing that's not related to, the superficial things. It has to come from within somehow. If not, then I think a lot of people will drop out pretty early, because it is, as we were talking about earlier, it is very hard. And there are a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of long days. And then I also think I have been very mindful of, noticing when I am getting a bit out of balance, so working too much, or, when things are getting too stressful. I have some techniques to get back to balance. So it's like dancing. So I'm actually going to do that later today. I'm going to do ecstatic dance.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's, I think that's important as well, to take care of yourself and not, just sacrifice everything for what you're building, because then it's not going to last a long time. Yeah.
So I think the key word there is take care of yourself, because if you have a vision, it needs you to materialize. So if you just feel like you're going to destroy yourself in the process of creating the vision, then probably the vision may never come to life. So taking care of yourself is very important. So what would you say to other people out there who are trying to be entrepreneurs, who are trying to be startup founders? What advice would you give to them?
I would say just jump before you think you're ready, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Go to the fashion.
And, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know exactly what you're building, like how everything is going to sort of work out. You don't have to have the exact plan. Of course, it's good to give yourself some room, like with your own runway, so that you know that you can spend time figuring things out and don't need money straight away, or don't need a salary, for example, straight away. And then, just get ready for the ups and downs, I think. And remembering that you sort of, even when things are really hard, you can do it. It's
yes, you can.
Yeah, because it always seems more scary, when you think about what might happen, than when it actually happens. Because it probably will happen, and then it will be okay. Like you'll get through it, and also find people that you can lean on, and who can understand or like relate a little bit. Because some people in your life might not. They might think you're a bit crazy and don't understand really what it takes, to do it.
But so you talk about having a support system. Can I ask, what has been your support system?
For me, it's been other entrepreneurs, of course. They know what it's like. And then it's also been, these kinds of communities where I can, for example, go in an ecstatic dance, or do some yoga, or just be with other people sharing our experiences of like just being human. I don't know. And having more, places of just being instead of doing all the time. I think I'm a very doing kind of person. I like to do things and be productive, and I love to be in like flow. But I need some time to just, be and not do things all the time. So that has worked for me.
That's good. So take rest and have a community.
Yeah.
Join a community to support you. So we are going toward the end now. Let me ask, what is entrepreneurship to you? If you were to define entrepreneurship, what would you say it is?
It's creation and manifestation of your dreams. It's like you get something, I don't know where it comes from, but for me, Ekvi was like, it came to me and it was just like, I have to sort of create it out there because I just see that there is a need for it. And if I can do it, then I will do it. That's how it feels for me. It's like a creative act.
Wow. That's very interesting.
Probably not the normal or common response, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I believe in that also. I think entrepreneurship is about creation. You create, you think of something in your head and you bring it to life. What way can you describe entrepreneurship?
Yeah, and it's also like for people to interact with. It's kind of and it's a way to solve some of our biggest problems, and it's just beautiful. Like the whole process is just beautiful and really hard at the same time. But I think every sort of artist feels like that.
And even I think another thing is that entrepreneurship is hard. That's why, of course, everybody are not entrepreneurs. And you being able to conceive of an idea and then materialize it, manifest it, that itself is like having a superpower. If you succeed in doing it, you have a product. Now you have Ekvi and you have all these women that are using it. And then sitting back maybe 3 years from now, and you realize how many women, thousands or millions of them, that have been helped thanks to your app. I mean, what can be more rewarding than just knowing that you help people?
That is also what keeps me going. Is the feedback that we get when people say, hey, this really helped me. I went to the doctor today and it was so much better than last time. And finally, we're sort of getting to the next step. And that is really the moments to live for.
So I think we will be wrapping now. And I want to thank you very much for taking the time to come talk to us for this interview. I really appreciate you coming, and I think the people who will watch this video, they will also appreciate, because your story is unique, and you also brought a unique perspective as well to not just what you do, but also what is entrepreneurship and how can one succeed as an entrepreneur and all of that. So we really appreciate. We don't want to keep you much longer. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah. What's your closing remarks to the people watching this video? What would you like to tell them?
So many things.
Put you on the spot right now.
But no, I just think believe in yourself and start to create. It's a wonderful feeling. Yeah.
And in the spirit of the video of today, which is how fear of failure prevents entrepreneurs from taking risks, Cathrine said in better, believe in yourself and overcome the fear of failure. Take the leap, take the dive. And you'll be surprised at what you can create or what you will create.
And failing, I fail all the time. And that's also a superpower, because the more you fail, the more you learn. So don't be afraid of failing.
Absolutely.